I was doing my devotions, Genesis chapter 24, the story of Abraham seeking a wife for Isaac, his son. And I got the kaleidoscope behind me because it's not accidental, it's not random, I'm not on an LSD trip. This is a unique story, and I dedicate it to my dear friend Al Mendenhall. We've been friends for over 40 years. He and his wife Sherry, friends of Marilyn and I. So, Al said to me several years ago that God is like a kaleidoscope. And he began to explain why he said that he's always changing, he's always creative, he's always beautiful and unique, and no two patterns are the same. God won't be boring. He's always iridescent in his ways of moving, acting, and doing. And it's a perfect description for Genesis chapter 24 in the life of Isaac. See, God doesn't give his glory like a kaleidoscope just to impress himself. He does it to manifest his glory to us so that we can then turn around and go like, wow, that is so incredible. Have you ever looked at a kaleidoscope and you move it and you're oohing and awing, and then you want to share it with somebody next to you, but you know that as soon as you take it off from your eye and they look at it, they're going to say, I didn't see it. Of course you didn't, because it changed. Even moving from one eye to the other, the movement of the glass and the crystals and all the things in the kaleidoscope, it's never the same. Thus, our God is that way. And when I studied about Isaac and Abraham, you see that Abraham said, listen, to his most trusted servant, take camels, take money, take jewelry, take everything you can to entice and convince a young woman to come from my land of my birth, Mesopotamia, and bring her here to marry my son Isaac. I don't want my son to marry a Canaanite. I want him to marry someone from my country and hopefully from my family. The lineage, to keep the pure blood in the family. Very common in those days. Now, it wasn't marriage like to your sister, but it could have been married to a second cousin or a great-granddaughter. Marriage that was bona fide. And so Abraham sends the servant up. But the servant says, listen, Abraham, my master, what happens if she doesn't want to come? Well, if she doesn't want to come, whatever you do, don't bring my son there. Because God gave the promise that we would be in the land of what we call today Israel. And that is where she needs to come. So if she doesn't come, leave her there, but don't take my son. God will do something. I'm trusting God. Abraham walked by faith. The servant goes to Nahor, and outside of Nahor there is a well. And the women was their custom to go in the morning for water and in the evening. And so there was a string of women. The first in line was Rebecca. Now, she didn't know that the servant had just prayed, God, please give me a sign. The woman that I ask for water will say that she will give water to my camels, and that will be a sign. Now, to us, it's not a big deal, but to him it was, because he has 10 camels with him. To feed water for 10 camels is a huge production. A lot of water, a lot of weight, carrying jars back and forth. So it's not likely a woman who is the weaker vessel is going to go, can I volunteer to give water to your camels? So he sees the first in line of these women in a string of women on the way to the well for the evening water. And so he goes to that woman. It says that she's a beautiful woman. And he says to her, would you give me water? She says, well, of course I will. She recognizes he's a stranger. And so she dips the water in a jug. She gives him the water. He's drinking the water. He finishes up his drink. And then she says, out of a common courtesy, a spirit of servanthood, can I water your camels? Oh, praise God. He realizes this is miraculous. It's providential, we would say in a modern vernacular. But he hits the deck. He begins to throw his hands up. Oh God, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God that has been so gracious to my master. You have been faithful. You are always changing. So he gets into it. He gets into the recognition in my example of our God like the kaleidoscope. He does great and mighty things, and it's never the same. And so he begins to give her a ring. He blesses her with a bracelet, with earrings for her nose. I don't know, all the jewelry. And she's so excited. And he then begins to say, this is I'm the servant of Abraham and Isaac, and we're looking for a wife. And he can't believe it. By the time he hears her, she says, well, that's kind of like my dad is his brother. No way. Absolutely. Well, that's incredible. Of all the women that could have come here, you are the perfect match. So she invites him to dinner. He goes to dinner, meets Laban, the brother, the family. There's great party for a day or two, and he says, I've got to get back. We know the story. Rebecca gets on her camel. She gets near Isaac, lights off her camel, goes to Isaac, covers her face, as was the manner in those days, and shortly thereafter, a beautiful wedding ceremony. And Isaac is the happiest man that God has provided. What's in it for us? What's in it for us is the God of Abraham and Isaac. Later on, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The miracles that God did to Abraham, God does for us. He's not a God that just selects certain people. He's a God that wants to bless all of us. The fact that Jesus died for all of humanity is a sign of God's great love for humanity. It's not favoritism. His constant moving, His constant changing, His constant revelation is the glory for us to do like the servant, to fall on our face and go, oh God, you are a mighty God. You do mighty things. You are faithful. You are new. Your mercies are new every morning. Your miracles are new. Don't be discouraged. That same God of Isaac and Abraham is the God that loves us and has a plan, even though things don't seem to work out and maybe it doesn't seem to be providential in your life. Trust God that in the end, you will see His glory. You won't be disappointed of everything that God has done on your behalf as you've dedicated your life for Him. Look to see the wonders of our God and trust Him that the blessings are for you now and evermore. I leave you with this word to pause and ponder.